Hi, welcome to Teach Star. Today we're going to be looking at flip learning as part of our quick tips on the channel. So quick tips are basically very short videos that just show you something you can implement right now. So with flip learning, there's loads and loads of different elements. It's way too much, way too big a thing to tackle in just one video. But I'm going to use an example of somewhere that you can use it right now, maybe tomorrow or maybe next week in your lessons. So I had a sixth form class for one of the subjects that I taught, and one of the issues with the lesson was there was an awful lot of AO1 stuff, like basic stuff, basic knowing of the content, and we're a subject agnostic channel, so I'm not going to necessarily say what subject it was, but there was a lot of understanding like what is going on with this subject or with this topic. Then they needed to do the higher level, the AO2, AO3, to apply different things to it, to analyse it, to evaluate it. They had to do all the higher level stuff. Now, the problem is that you try and do the AO1 stuff, the basic knowing stuff, and then try and cram in that AO2 and AO3 stuff towards the end of the lesson, or possibly break it up into two lessons. Now, time was tight with this group, and I knew I didn't have enough time to have one lesson on this, one lesson on that. It was just never going to work. So what I decided to do was use this flipped learning idea. So the idea of flipped learning is that they do the preparation at home, and then they come to the classroom having prepped it already, and be able to analyse it, and etc. etc. Now, as I mentioned, this was a sixth form group, so they were more likely to do the homework than, say, my year 9s and 10s. However, I was still concerned about that, and I'll tell you what I did about it in a second. But the idea was that their homework would be to do all of that, and I would make sure that they did that. And the way I made sure that they did that was I gave them a pro forma, and it was a standard one for each topic we did, and they had to write down all the stuff they learned, all the notes from that. Now, traditionally in this subject, you would do that in class, you would write down. But I thought, well, it's AO1, it's basic level stuff, they should be able to do that on their own. There was a proviso though. What I said to them was, if there's any question they have on this, and I gave them little sheets to fill out, not very big sheets, but they were questions to raise in class. Then just write them down, the question thing, and the first 10 minutes or 10-15 minutes of our lesson would be discussing and answering those questions. So I knew that they had completely understood it if they hadn't given me any of the question sheets. And surprise, surprise, I didn't receive one question sheet. I didn't receive one. They were all happy with it. And for this subject, it was expected that from the great textbook we had and from the great resources we had, because we didn't just use textbooks, actually they understood it, and they saw what was going on, and we could discuss it. And in the lesson, we spent about 10-15 minutes discussing it and just putting it to the forefront of their minds, because some of them might have done it on the Friday and we had the lesson on the Tuesday or something like that. But that was a far cry from the 40-45 minutes that we used to spend on doing the outline. So already that gave us the rest of the lesson to do the higher level stuff, to do the things that they were more likely to get the B grade and the A grade, and for the A level the A star grade overall with. So it was win-win-win-win-win. I did reduce severely the amount of other homework they had, and because it basically halved the lessons I needed, that gave us time to do the exam questions and stuff that were normally set for homework. We actually were able to do it in class a lot more, which was fantastic. And it actually brought me more time for the more difficult areas of the subject. So win-win overall. Now, I did this after the big changes of the A-levels, where there was a lot more content. So just to have time was absolutely fantastic. Now you might ask, okay, and this is true for any of this situation, well, what happens with that kid or that student who came to lesson having not done the homework? And it's a great question. At A-level, thankfully, at A-level, I had the option to say, right, you can't conduct this lesson because you haven't prepared for it. You need to go to the study session. You need to go to the study room, sorry, and you need to complete the outline. and you need to complete that as quick as you can, and as soon as you complete that, you come back to the lesson. So my expectation was they do not come to the lesson having not done that, because there is no point of them trying to analyse it and do all the higher level stuff without having done the basics. There was only 2 students who ever came to that lesson without having prepped, and they only did it once. And so for me, and obviously you need the cooperation of your head of sixth form, and you need to keep them in the loop, which I did. So they knew what the score was, and they knew what was going on. And I've got to be honest, if there was somebody who consistently didn't do it, I did have a way of preparing for that. So like contacting home obviously is the first port of call, but the second port of call is to find some time after school where they come back and do it with you, or find some kind of system with the sixth form team. But it worked absolutely fantastically. It was one of the best things I've done, and I consistently do it. Now, I have done it for lower year groups. It's not as easy, because obviously you can't have the consequence of them not having done it. But if you build it into some sort of routine, and if you have like the preparation for those students who haven't done it, which I had to do, and it was slightly different. I don't want to go into it too much detail because it was a completely different thing that I did for them, and maybe that would be a future video if you request it. But you need to make sure that there's a consequence, and for sixth form it's very easy, because no one wants to come to their sixth form lesson and be told you can't come in because you haven't done it. In fact, a couple of times I got, like once of the 2, I had the student come to me in advance and say, look, I haven't done it, I'm going to start at break time, we've got the lesson after break, and I'll see if I've managed to get it done, but if I haven't, I'll come up as soon as I do. Absolutely fantastic. But I thought I'd share that as a quick tip for today. If you want to hear more, or if you've got any questions about that, please leave a comment under the video bit. If you like this video, if this helped you, please click like, and if you want to see more quick tips from us, then please click subscribe. Thank you very much. Oh, before you go, you can subscribe to us here, and this is our previous video, and this is another video from us. We release videos every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday at 5 o'clock. Thank you very much.